Tonight, let us drift together into a gentle retelling, a soft and steady story built from an old play, smoothed and shaped for the hush of bedtime. Close your eyes if you like, and imagine the hush of evening spreading over a quiet country and a small, kindly town. There is a house with a warm hearth and an old woman whose hands have learned the language of care. There is a young woman named Helen, bright and gentle, who carries a memory like a small, steady light. She is tender and brave in equal measure, and she moves through the world with quiet resolve. Helen's life has known loss. Her father was a learned man who healed others, a physician whose skill and kindness earned him great respect. When he passed away, he left Helen not only memories, but also remedies, notes and recipes, gifts of practical wisdom, and the trust that such knowledge can do good. She grew up in the gentle shadow of that learning, in the safe keeping of a woman of experience who loved and sheltered her. The world around her held both kindness and a certain gravity. Courts of kings and quiet cottages, storms of war, and the small, patient acts that help people breathe a little easier. In this world lives Bertram, a young nobleman of a proud house. He is handsome and restless, the sort of man to wear his brightness like armor. He belongs to a family with a name and a history. His mother is a woman of steady dignity who loves him, but remembers how sharp the world can be. Bertram is called to service and to war by great, urgent affairs, and in the tides of that duty, some of his heart becomes distant and uncertain. He is proud, and he is young, and sometimes that mixture makes him bold in ways that surprise even him. When the king falls ill, an illness that has confounded learned physicians and whispered of things beyond ordinary cure, Helen learns of it and carries in her memory one of her father's most precious remedies. There is a quiet hope in her. Perhaps the knowledge of a single, careful mind might do what many learned hands have failed to do. She does not come to the court seeking fame. She does not come with braggart song or polished promise. She arrives as one who knows the weight of what she offers, and she bears it with modesty and steady hands. At court, she meets the king, a thoughtful and grandfatherly ruler who remembers battles and old friends, and who sees, in the calm courage of this young woman, more than he can explain. He listens to the simple confidence in her voice, and with a touch of hopeful wonder, allows her to try. Helen promises what she can. She speaks not like one demanding miracles, but like one offering what her knowledge and her heart can do. She sets a period of time, small and precise, and vows, in gentle honesty, that she will do what she can. The king, moved and curious, places his trust in her. He asks a bold thing of her in answer. If she succeeds in restoring him, she may choose any husband from among a group of noble young men present at court, and his power will make the choice honored and rightful. Helen is startled and humbled by such an offer, but her tone stays simple and true. she asks only that the king keep the promise he makes. He does. They clasp that strange, earnest bargain, and then the acts of healing begin. What unfolds is not a tale of triumph shouted from rooftops, but a quiet, hopeful labor. Helen's remedies, her careful attention, and the grace of fresh hope do lighten the king's condition. It is tender work, the kind of work that moves as slowly and kindly as a hand smoothing a blanket over a sleeper. The king recovers, and with recovery comes celebration. The court blooms with feasting and music, and in the midst of it, all the king remembers his promise. He invites Helen to choose. There, among the young noblemen, is Bertram. He carries his head like someone who has been taught to be proud of his family name. Yet, when Helen chooses, she chooses quietly, and with the seriousness of someone who understands both duty and devotion. The king, who has just been restored, and who is feeling generous and certain of the value of gratitude, sees fit to give Bertram in marriage to Helen. For Bertram, this is an unexpected turn. He is promised a wife whose birth is not of his class. She is the daughter of a learned physician and raised under the care of a woman of gentle standing. Bertram is surprised and uneasy. He takes Helen's hand because the king commands it, though his heart remains restless and conflicted. Despite the ceremony, Bertram's feelings are uneven. He is young, and he is not yet wise in the small, vital ways of steadiness and tenderness. He will go to war as duty calls, and in the fire of distant battle, his thoughts turn this way and that. Helen, calm and steadfast, follows what seems to be the natural course. She respects his wishes, she tends to her own life, and she clings to the hope that what is asked of her will be borne with honor. But life does not arrange itself as a parchment promise. Bertram leaves for the distant lands of Italy, marching under the standards of other lords, and returning now, and then with the bright and dangerous gifts of war. Letters and rumors travel in fits and starts. One letter reaches home that pains those who read it. Bertram has not only been absent, but he has seemed unwilling to accept the full weight of his vows. He has gone to service and to triumphs, and in that distant glory, he seems to have felt free to set aside the quiet claim of the woman he was married to. Helen learns of this, learns also that Bertram has, in a rush of youth and bravado, made vows to others, and seemed to treat marriage as something pliant. Still, she remains resourceful rather than resentful. Where bitterness might take root, Helen plants careful plans. She is not only a healer of bodies, but a mender of moments. She understands that people often fail to match the weight of their words, so she sets in motion a patient and clever course that does not humiliate but reveals. She dresses her purpose with quiet good sense, with the help of friends who believe in her, an old woman kindly and brave, and another gentle soul named Diana, who can play her part with courage and a clear clear conscience. Helen constructs a plan rooted in truth rather than in vengeance. The plan moves like a slow river, steady and sure. Helen travels, at times hiding her own identity and allowing appearances to arrange themselves in ways that will ultimately bring light when truth is revealed. She depends on careful timing, on small signs like rings and letters, and on the human fact that truth, if shown with courage and kindness, can be recognized even by those who first seemed blind to it. Along the way, she endures the ache of waiting and the quiet sting of being overlooked. Yet she never allows that sting to flatten her compassion. Her heart remains a place where firmness and tenderness live together. Meanwhile, Bertram walks his own path. War hardens and refines him in some ways. The drums and the campfire teach the rough lessons of duty and courage. But he also stumbles, sometimes in foolish speech, sometimes in careless acts. A companion called Perils, boastful and restless, speaks of things he should not. He brags in ways that invite danger, and those who have quiet wisdom watch and see the danger that follows a man who cannot hold his tongue. The army's life is bright, noisy, and often careless, sometimes a joy, sometimes a test. Bertram's reputation frays a little in the stretch between youth and full manhood, and the things he says or allows to happen begin to teach him the truth of his own nature. Helen's patience, however, becomes the quiet loom on which the whole story is woven. She arranges the proof of her truth with a steady hand. A ring, a letter, a testimony, small things that hold up a larger truth. When the hour comes for revelations, she does not shout from the rooftops in triumph. She steps forward like someone setting a lamp on a table and saying, "Look." The king himself, surprised and moved, watches unfold what had been carefully prepared. The ring he once gave her, the little token that bound a promise, shines in plain sight. Bertram's astonishment has an edge of shame, and in that honest feeling there is the opening of a new sort of understanding. When all is laid bare, the court quiets and listens. The king, who once gave his word, now sees how the small act of trust, his promise to a selfless healer, has borne fruit in a way he never could have contrived. He sees Helen's steadiness, her clever kindness, her refusal to break, and her refusal to punish where persuasion can do the work. He sees a young man who must learn the weight of his words, and he offers both the chance to grow and the mercy of a fresh beginning. Helen, who could have demanded the full measure of justice, instead asks for recognition and fair return. A husband who understands what he promised and who will honor the life he married, not because it is commanded, but because he learns how to love. There is, in the final hours of this quiet tale, a sense of unhurried repair. Bertram turns away from his old careless ways with a softness that has been practiced into him by witness and by consequence. He recognizes the wisdom in Helen's quiet courage Helen does not enter victory with a hard voice. She offers the gentleness of a hand extended and invites Bertram to meet her there. The king, who once feared he might not be helped, now witnesses the gentle justice of a small human triumph. Those who stood by Helen, her companions, and the older women who guided her are thanked and honored. Even Perils, who prided himself on loud and grand stories, learns his small instruction about the cost of blinking truth. At the end, they gather in a mood that is neither entirely solemn nor entirely jubilant, but a calm blending of relief and new understanding. The wounds of misunderstanding have not been erased by magic, but they are staunched by honesty and kindness. The story closes not in a roar, but in a soft settling, like a small fire whose embers glow longer because the wood beneath them was well placed. There is mercy, there is growth, and there is the sense that steadiness wins in the long run. So as the night wraps the fields and roofs outside, and a gentle wind moves through the leaves, let your thoughts rest on Helen's steady courage, and on the quiet lesson the tale leaves behind. That patience, resourcefulness, and compassion can mend more than anger ever can. That promises made in gentleness can be kept more faithfully than those made in haste. And that people, when given the chance to see themselves in the clear light of truth, often choose better. Breathe slowly now. Imagine the king's gentle smile and the soft coo of approval from those who have watched and learned. Picture Helen steady as a small lamp, placing that light on a table, willing to show the world its warmth rather than hide it. Picture Bertram stepping closer, not as one forced by command, but as one who has been shaped by witnessing a quiet courage. Let your heart beat slow and think of the house with the warm hearth. Imagine the old woman folding a blanket, the soft murmur of conversation in the next room, and the gentle closing of the day's doors. The story has winded down to a tender place. Let your breath follow that softness. If sleep is coming, let it be easy and kind. If you carry any worry, picture it like a small, dull pebble placed in a stream. The stream of Helen's quiet courage will carry it gently away. May your night be quiet and sweet. May you wake to a new morning with a calm heart and a readiness to meet small mercies. All's well when the end is gentle and truthful. Good night.